Hello, hello. Here we are. Little bandana sliding off again. I'm going to read some more from the book Practicing Peace in Times of War. I'm going to read chapter 2 because it's very, very important. It's by Pema Chodron. It is the author of When Things Fall Apart. So I'll read the back again. If we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's the true practice of peace. So I just did, because my shoulder's still healing and I can't do my stand-up Pilates and things like that. And I fell off my track. I sure did. I let my feelings get in the way and I was debilitated. And I hurt my shoulder very badly. So my shoulder, hello. My shoulder is still healing, but I just did the whole yoga for shoulder and neck pain. And so I'm not a yoga teacher. I'm still learning this. So I don't feel like I should be teaching a yoga class. But I like specific ones. I like their energy. I like the way they teach it. I like the way they do it. So one of my favorites is Cole Chance, and she is Yoga TX. They do beginner stretches. They do intermediate. You can get yoga for the morning, yoga for relaxing at night. You find one that works for you. I'm not going to teach yoga, but in yoga, they concentrate on breath and stretching. So I noticed that Dawn said, enjoy a walk for me earlier. And if somebody can't go out for walks or is isolated and doesn't want to go out for walks or whatever it may be, absolutely not. Yeah, not like you used to, but yes, you do what you can. And so what we did in my one that I just did was just taking and stretching, and you lean forward, and it's amazing how much better your body can feel. And only do it to the extent that feels comfortable or has, a good stretch to it. So it's all about breath, because when we hold our breath, it creates more tension. Cold Chance, and she keeps reminding you, focus on your breath. I found her when I was still living in my place in out in the country with my guy before all of this went down back in February of 2018. I found her, and I was actually doing yoga with him, and we would sit there, and he could not do half of what I could do. I don't expect people to do the things. Right now, I can't even do everything to the best of what I could do before I hurt my shoulder. So I'm having to approach everything. I wear these around the house all day. They're my 3-pound weights. And then throughout the day, I can just do some leg things. It's all about balance. I can work on things. I wear them, and I hadn't been. I fell out. Absolutely. Yes, it absolutely helps everything. And it's all about breathing and incorporating yoga into it's beautiful. This is why I study all of the best spiritual teachers. It's amazing. Thank you so much for helping the lymph nodes, because I didn't know that. So it's I feel so much better after that. And I'm gonna try to get this done, come back later and do stages of time, because I'm gonna organize and do my floor, and I'd like to do the floor in here. I really can't do mopping and stuff yet because I really want my shoulder to get better. I don't want to injure it at all. So I have to baby step my way back through things. I need to do the downstairs floors, and our house is rather large. Upstairs we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this office and 2 bathrooms up here. And I don't do my parents' room because it's always locked. But thank you so much for the like. So let's, Heather, take a breath. And I chin it into my chest. You can see when I do it. But breathe into your stomach. And when you do yoga, you also You inhale on whatever move you're doing. Like, say we just did this. So she says, you're sitting Indian style on your yoga mat. You know what I mean? And you put one hand because you're stretching out your shoulder. And in my wing, that's especially where it is. We did neck and shoulder pain. So she'll say, look down and then hold if you've got your right ear and make sure you're sitting straight is what she tells you. So then you correct yourself. I'm super excited for Stages of Time too. Thank you so much for the like. She'll say, put your ear here and make sure she said, because naturally when you do that, you're tend to slump forward. It's just something we do naturally. So I love her gentle correction. She says, I need it too. So maybe it helps you guys. And I smile and say it did. And then you stretch like it stretches right in here. And so you just gently move and see where it is that needs more stretching and more attention. And when we would do the stretch this way and you're sitting on the floor, so you put your hand behind you. So you're inhaling on your move, right? And when you really pull to it, is when you stretch. You exhale as you can. Oh, goodness gracious. Maybe you're getting empathy pains. Hello, Mike. Hello. Welcome back. So I just did it. Hers is under Yoga TX. I love her. She's got dreadlocks. She had her dog on there earlier. So I just did it. It's yoga for neck and back pain. So maybe you should check her out because I just did this one. Yoga for neck and shoulder pain. Of course, there's a freaking ad that it says yoga for neck and shoulder pain. Safe and easy stretches for beginners. So if you want to baby step into it, she's Yoga TX. And her name is Cole Chance. She's got little dreadlocks. She's super cool girl. I like her a lot. Her dog's there. I like her personality. I like it. Oh, yeah. That's horrible. But you might have even pressure sitting like, I can feel that knot starting to come out now. It's much smaller than it was. But last night I was getting this bad pain in my arm. I couldn't even lay on my side. Like my phone cord is short next to my bed. And I put it on a little stuffed animal. And I usually lay on my side and watch it. But if I can't, I just lay there and listen. But I just did these yoga stretches. I did it through the whole thing, pushed my way through, and I feel so much better. I'm really trying to text people because I'm using my voice so much through the videos that I really am trying to text right now because when I end up talking to somebody, sometimes we talk for 2 hours. Huh, Lily? And so my voice is very precious when you're teaching and when you're reading and you're doing it on a public platform. So try some kind of, it'll take the pressure off. Like I felt like the muscles were so inflamed and they needed stretched out that it was pinching a nerve, which is what was causing the shooting pain. Last night it was just dull, like muscle pain, like the energy is coming out. And there's no doubt in my mind it'll all come out. And it's all coming out a little bit at a time. Yes, Lily, are you feeling better today? We sure hope you are. We sure hope you are. Just do whatever is good for you each and every moment. Because not all of us know what everyone's going through at all times. So just do whatever feels good. So let's start here. The courage to wait. And these are, it's a little book. You know, it's not I'm so glad you're feeling better. See, we all have our days. And I'm getting back in my routine. I promise you, cutting people out of my life, changing my number so they don't have access to me and mess with my emotions, debilitating me, I can get back on track, but it takes me a little bit. Excuse me. So, the courage to wait. If the justified aggression of men and women, just like us, is the cause of war, then how do we ordinary folks go about finding peace? When we feel aggression in any of its many forms, resentment, discrimination, jealousy, complaining, and so forth. It's hard to know what to do. We can apply all the good advice we've heard and given to other people, but often that doesn't seem to help us. Traditionally, it's taught that patience is the antidote to aggression. When I heard this the first time, it immediately caught my interest. I thought, if patience is really the antidote to aggression, maybe I'll just give it a wholehearted try. Now, patience was the first day in the love dare. Love is patient. Love is patient. In the process, I learned about what patience is and about what it isn't. I would like to share with you what I've understood and to encourage you to find out for yourself how patience can dissolve the mean-heartedness that results in us harming one another. Most importantly, I learned about patience and the cessation of suffering. I learned how patience is a way to de-escalate aggression and its accompanying pain. This is to say that when we're feeling aggressive, and I think this would go for any strong emotion, there's a seductive quality that pulls us in the direction of wanting to get some resolution. We feel restless, agitated, ill at ease. It hurts so much to feel the aggression that we want it to be resolved. Right then, we could change the way we look at this discomfort and practice patience. But what do we usually do? We do exactly what is going to escalate the aggression and the suffering. We strike out, we hit back. Someone insults us, and initially, there is some softness. If you can practice patience, then you can catch it. But usually you don't even realize there was any softness. You find yourself in the middle of a hot, noisy, pulsating, want to get even state of mind. It has a very unforgiving quality with it. I said unforgiveness. I did not talk. Did I say Siri one time? See, those things are crazy. Artificial intelligence. She just popped in and talking about unforgiveness. Have you ever seen a video of Siri and Alexa having a whole conversation? It's quite interesting. It's mind-blowing. You find yourself in the middle of a hot, noisy, pulsating, want to get even state of mind. It has a very unforgiving quality to it. With your words or your actions, in order to escape the pain of aggression, you create more aggression and pain. I recently read a letter from a U.S. soldier in Iraq. He wrote about the so-called enemy fighters, the unknown people who are so filled with pain and hate that they sit in the dark waiting to kill foreign soldiers like him. When they succeed and his friends' bodies are blown to unrecognizable pieces, he just wants revenge. He said that each day he and his fellow U.S. soldiers were also becoming men who wait in the darkness, hoping to kill another human being. As he put it, we think that by striking back, we'll release our anger and feel better. But it isn't working. They're sick. They're killing themselves, right? For what they've gone and done. There's many struggling, committing suicide. All VFWs are like a bar, right? So here's your sign. It isn't working. Our pain gets stronger day by day. Amid the chaos and the horror of war, this soldier has discovered a profound truth. If we want suffering to lessen, the first step is learning that keeping the cycle of aggression going doesn't help. Well, where is he at? We need him to go talk to the president and the rest of the military. It doesn't bring the relief we seek, and it doesn't bring happiness to anyone else either. We may not be able to change the outer circumstances, but we can always shift our perspective and dissolve the hatred in our minds and in our hearts. So when you feel like a keg of dynamite just about to go off, patience means just slowing down at that point, just pausing instead of immediately acting on your usual habitual response. You refrain from acting. You stop talking to yourself, and then you connect with the soft spot. But at the same time, you're completely and totally honest with yourself about what you're feeling. You're not suppressing anything. Patience has nothing to do with suppression. In fact, it has everything to do with a gentle, honest relationship with yourself. If you wait and don't fuel the rage with your thoughts, you can be very honest about the fact that you long for revenge. Nevertheless, you keep interrupting the torturous storyline and stay with the underlying vulnerability. That frustration, that uneasiness, and vulnerability is nothing solid, and yet it is painful to experience. Still, just wait and be patient with your anguish and with the discomfort of it. This means relaxing with that restlessness, that restless, hot energy, knowing that it's the only way to find peace for ourselves or the world. Patience has a quality of honesty, and it also has the quality of holding our seat. We don't automatically react, even though inside we are reacting. We let all the words go and are just there with the rawness of our experience. Fearlessness is another ingredient of patience. And while you're learning to get new habits and things, when you slip up or say you're really trying to hold your words and not react, don't beat yourself up, because in the beginning, you're going to still keep doing it. You have to keep reminding yourself any unhealthy learned behavior that no longer serves us can be unlearned, can be retrained, can be refocused. So don't beat yourself up if in the beginning you're going to keep doing the things that you've been doing for all your life. So me at 39 years old, absolutely, I have to not beat myself up while I'm doing it. Absolutely. All right. Fearlessness is another ingredient of patience. If you want to practice patience that leads to the cessation of suffering, to the de-escalation of aggression, it means cultivating a fearlessness that is both compassionate and brave. Because at this point, you're getting to know anger and how it easily breeds violent words and actions, and this can be decidedly unnerving. You can see where your anger will lead before you do anything. You're not repressing it, you're just sitting there with the pulsating energy, going cold turkey with the aggression, and you get to know the naked energy of anger and the pain it can cause if you react. You followed the tug so many times, you already know. It feels like an undertow. That desire to say something mean, to seek revenge or slander, that desire to complain, to just somehow spill out that aggression. But you slowly realize that those actions don't get rid of aggression, they increase it. Instead, you're patient with yourself, and this requires the gentleness and courage of fearlessness. Developing patience and fearlessness means learning to sit still with the edginess of the discomforting energy. It's like sitting on a wild horse, or maybe even more like a wild tiger that could eat you up. There is a limerick to that effect. There was a young man, a young lady, not a man. There was a young lady of Niger who smiled as she rode on a tiger. They came back from the ride with a lady inside and the smile on the face of the tiger. Sitting with our uneasiness feels like riding on that tiger. When we stick with this process, we learn something very interesting. There is no resolution for these comfortable feelings. uncomfortable feelings. There's no resolution. We cannot make them stop, especially with the things that are going on in the world. We have to just, and it automatically creates an inner conflict in us if it goes against everything we believed. Like, especially the Course in Miracles. Like, some of those things like blow your mind so much, but they make sense and you want more. You want more of it. When I read Conversations with God, it blew my mind, but it all finally started making sense. And I'd have to reread it and reread it until finally it became easy to accept these things that went against everything that the world ever taught me. So this resolution that human beings seek comes from a tremendous misunderstanding. We think that everything can become predictable and secure. There is a basic ignorance about the truth of impermanence. The truth of the fleeting, groundless nature of all things. When we feel powerful energy, we tend to be extremely uncomfortable until things are fixed in some kind of secure and comforting way. Either on the side of yes or on the side of no, the side of right or the side of wrong. We long for something that we can hold on to. But the practice of patience gives us nothing to hold on to. Actually, the Buddhist teachings in general give us nothing to hold on to. In working with patience and fearlessness, we learn to be patient with the fact that not only us, but everyone who is born and dies, all of us as a species, are naturally going to want some kind of resolution to this edgy, moody energy. And there isn't any. The only resolution is temporary and ultimately just causes more suffering. We discover that joy and happiness, a sense of inner peace, a sense of harmony, and it being at home with yourself and your world come from sitting still with the moodiness of the energy until it rises, dwells, and passes away. It never resolves itself into something solid. We stay in the middle, the path of touching in on the inherent softness of the genuine heart is sitting still, being patient with that kind of unformed energy. And we don't have to criticize ourselves when we fail, even for a moment, because we're just completely typical human beings. The only thing that's unique about us is that we're brave enough to go into these things more deeply and explore beneath our surface reaction of trying to get solid ground under our feet. Absolutely. Patience is an enormously supportive and even magical practice. It's a way of completely shifting the fundamental human habit of trying to resolve things by either going to the right or to the left. I did it the wrong way, to the right or to the left, labeling things good or labeling them bad. See, this totally resonates with everything we did today. It's the way to develop fearlessness, the way to contact the seeds of war and the seeds of lasting peace, and to decide which ones we want to nurture. Patience and curiosity also go together. You wonder, who am I? Who am I at the level of my neurotic patterns? Who am I beyond birth and death? If you wish to look into the nature of your own being, you need to be inquisitive. This path is a journey of self-reflection, beginning to look more closely at what's going on in our mind and heart. The meditation practices give us suggestions on how to look, and patience is an essential component for this looking. Aggression, on the other hand, prevents us from seeing clearly. It puts a tight lid on our curiosity. Aggression is an energy that is determined to resolve the situation into some kind of solid, fixed, very hard pattern where somebody wins and somebody loses. There is no room for open-ended curiosity or wonder. If you have already embarked on this journey of self-reflection, you may be at a place that everyone, sooner or later, experiences on the spiritual path. After a while, it seems like almost every moment of your life, you're there, where you realize you have a choice. You have a choice whether to open or close, whether to hold on or let go, whether to harden or soften, whether to hold your seat or strike out. That choice is presented to you again and again and again, and will continue until we learn the lesson. Everything that keeps coming against us they're lessons. They're trying to teach us, and when we're not open and willing to learn and rechange it, and then we don't understand. Like all the people that are getting censored, oppressed, and attacked, they're doing it the wrong way, right? I had to go around all of that stuff and stop doing the things that I hated for them to come against me for. So I don't focus on that, right? You see what I'm saying? These are lessons to be learned. And if you want to outsmart them, then you have to go around them. I say go around the stubborn mountains if they won't move. Perhaps each one of us has made the discovery that behind resistance, definitely behind aggression and jealousy, behind any kind of tension, there's always a soft spot we're trying to protect. Someone's actions hurt our feelings, and before we even notice what we're doing, we armor ourselves in a very old and familiar way. So we can either let go of our solid storyline and connect with that soft spot, or we can continue to stubbornly hold on, which means that the suffering will continue. So they're going to keep suffering. The ones who hate that, what they're doing, they're going to keep suffering because they're not learning their lesson at all. But it requires patience to even be curious enough to look, to self-reflect, and when you realize you have a choice to stay still or to act out, it requires great patience to stick with that edgy feeling and not escalate the suffering. They're bringing it on themselves. They absolutely are. You almost automatically speed up or shut down. You involuntarily seek solid ground, and you'll frequently feel afraid. You'll frequently feel afraid. You may feel that if you let go and simply feel the energy, you're going to die, or something is going to die. And you're right. If you let go, something will die, but it's something that will benefit you greatly if you just let go. I've come to find that patience also has humor and playfulness. It is a misunderstanding to think of it as endurance, as in just grin and bear it. Endurance involves some kind of repression or trying to live up to someone else's standards of perfection. Instead, you find that it helps to be able to laugh at what you see as your own imperfection. Patience could be a synonym for gentleness and loving kindness. You can develop patience and loving kindness and a sense of humor for your own imperfections, for your own limitations, for not living up to your own high ideals. Perfection is our own worst enemy. There's a little Christian song about that. I can't even remember. She says she's got a couple rips in her pocket. Yeah, she's got some things, but perfection is my enemy. I can't remember the name of the song. I'll have to think about it. On my own, I'm so clumsy. But she says, from your shoulders, she's talking to God, but from your shoulders, I can see. I'm free to be me. That's what it's called. I'm free to be me. I used to sing songs while I was mopping the whole prison. I worked on the floor crew, and we passed out chemicals, and we had to mop the floors every day. So we'd have one person mopping. We were singing the prison blues, one person mopping and one drying behind. And we would sing songs and make our day go by. It was much better. So when you can laugh at your little mistakes and not beat yourself up for it, then you can say, Oh, that was silly. You don't have to call yourself stupid, or you can tell yourself you're working on it. It's all about how we're speaking to ourselves. If we're speaking to ourselves, absolutely. Oh gosh, that's perfect. Absolutely. If we're not speaking to ourselves well, then how are we going to speak to others better? Right? We won't speak to them any better if we're speaking to ourselves, calling ourselves idiots and I'm so stupid. And why did I do that? Like, you don't have to beat yourself up. So, this next line, excuse me, I think it's the omega 3s. So, I just ordered some purplest ones that are doing the fish oils. I think that's what the problem is. Someone once came up with a slogan, which is lower your standards and relax as it is. When we lower our expectations of ourselves and others, we don't get our hopes up nearly as easily, right? That's a slogan for patience. Lower your standards and relax as it is, accepting all situations. I really want to order this book, but it's $20 and I can't find it. It was one of Hazelden book and it's called, I can't even remember what it's called, but it was one thing you worked on every week. And it was the virtues based on some things that she collected from Benjamin. It's called Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. Benjamin Franklin. Great book. I really think I want to get it. It's one thing you work on a week. And each day you apply one little sentence about today we're working on acceptance. So when I was working on it with my friend, and I'd see her in the chow hall in the prison, and she'd say, "Oh my God, look at that girl's hair." And I said, "Today we're working on acceptance, Janie. We're just accepting people right where they are. We don't have to it is not, why is that something automatic?" And I said, "So we're just working on acceptance. We're accepting things the way they are. We're accepting people the way they are. If somebody tells me no, at least I tried to ask or whatever. I say, okay, I accept that. Thank you. I had to try." One of my statements is nothing beats a failure but a try. So in Tibetan Buddhism, there is a set of teachings for cultivating compassion called mind training or Lo Yang. I'm going to guess the J sounds like a yaw. Lo Yang. One of the Lo Yang teachings is whichever of the two occurs, be patient. This means if a painful situation occurs, be patient. If a pleasant situation occurs, be patient. This is an interesting point. Usually, we jump all the time. Whether it's pain or pleasure, we want resolution. So if we're happy and something's great, we could also be patient then and not fill up space going a million miles an hour. See, that one's hitting me. Humility is very important. Absolutely. That is one of the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wisest. It's a very great book. I think I'm going to have to order it because I don't know where mine is. It could be still in storage somewhere. It's a lot to go through everything and try to organize your life again after a fire. And after losing home after home, 4 homes in a year, it's a lot. I have to tread through all of this stuff very lightly because it's very triggering and heartbreaking to go through things that used to be in my home and find some of that. Like, I didn't get very much out of my apartment or out of the home that I had with my guy. So when I go back through that and I find some of his things that I didn't pack because I had other people helping me pack what was left of the house, which wasn't a whole lot, dishes and stuff like that, that furniture, everything was gone. Even my clothes were all over the floor. So I have to tread lightly. It's a process. There's no reason for me to rush through all of this. So this resonates with me very well because when I get happy and excited, I start going a million miles an hour. So impulse shopping, impulse talking, impulse acting out. I'd like to stress yet again that the thing we have to be most patient about is the thing we have to be most patient with is when we find ourselves being despondent about our inability to do any of this. Classic example. I just can't do that. My child says, I just can't do that. I don't know how. And I say, Yes, you can. You have to learn. If I can do these things, then anybody can do them. For patience to lead to the cessation of suffering, or it to develop into fearlessness and genuine curiosity, we need to be patient with ourselves, just as we are. And I'm not talking about physical things. Some people are not physically capable of doing lots of things that people who are. I'm not talking about physical things. We're talking about habits, reprogramming our mind, and things like that. So there's another Lo Yang teaching that says one in the beginning and one at the end. When you wake up in the morning, you can begin your day with an aspiration. For instance, you might say, I'm going to try today to the best of my ability to practice patience. Or you can take try out of it and say, today we're going to do the best of our ability to practice patience. And you can't do better than your best. That's one of the 4 agreements. Always do your best. And then at the end of your day, you look back over all you did with loving kindness, and you're patient with the fact that when you review the last 8 hours or even review the last 20 minutes, you discover I was impatient and aggressive in the same style that I've been as long as I can remember. I got carried away with irritation exactly the same way I always do. When the path of peace then the path of peace depends on being patient with the fact that all of us make mistakes. We're just humans. Here I am, still human. And that's more important than getting it right. This whole process seems to work only if you're willing to give yourself a break, to soften up as you practice patience. As with the rest of the teachings, you can't win and you can't lose. You don't get to just say, well, since I can never do it, I'm not even going to try. It's like you never can do it and still you try. And interestingly enough, that adds up to something. It adds up to appreciation for yourself and for others. It adds up to there being more warmth in the world. You look out through your eyes and you just see yourself wherever you go. You see all these people who are escalating their suffering just like you do. You also notice people catching themselves just like you do. And they give you the gift of their fearlessness. You begin to be grateful for even the slightest gesture of bravery on the part of others because you know it's not so easy. Their courage increases your trust in the basic goodness of yourself and all beings throughout the world. Each of us just wanting to be happy. Each of us not wanting to suffer. And that's it for that one. And chapter 3 is not biting the hook. Not biting the hook. Don't do it. That's funny. I tore this out of a magazine in prison. It was a Taurus for 421 and 521. Who knows even what year it was? May 2016. So your best matches, Scorpio. I'm a Taurus and my guy is a Scorpio. That's funny. See, I tore it out for whatever reason it was. So I was listening to Ethan. It is a very good book. This one, absolutely. And I brought this back from prison. I found it in the little room. And you don't even know how many. I'd have, like, my great uncle would come and visit. And I'd have a box that I'd send home with him of books that I wanted to read, but I just didn't have time. In prison, you get one box. That's about, it slides under your bed and you pick 2 because it's a bunk bed, you and your bunkie. And so you've got one box and then you get one more smaller box it's called your correspondence box to keep your letters, to keep your papers and your folders for your classes and books. And so I would literally have books in between the wall and my bed, and I'd have to put books underneath of them so they didn't fall down below on my bunkie. And I was literally, oh, yeah, I'm sorry you've had to go there. It's really rough in there, isn't it? It'll teach you a whole lot about everything. That's a beautiful book. She also wrote When Things Fall Apart. So this is and this is her, Pema Chodron. So she studied Buddhism, is an American Buddhist nun in the lineage of, I'm not even going to try to say that. It's CHO with 2 little dots, GYAMTRUNGPA. She's got I actually see her quotes and stuff in lots of books about peace. The renowned Tibetan meditation master. So it's really, really helpful. She's author of When Things Fall Apart and the Places That Scare You. Ooh, I bet that's a good one. So that's it for now. I was just listening to Ethan, gosh darn it, Ethan and Mastering the Zodiac, and everything is still cozied right up in Virgo right now. Oh goodness, one of our dear sisters she's I'm gonna have to reply to her in a minute. She's starting to join in, but she's got a lot going on. She's moving, and it's a very overwhelming situation for her to leave. So I'm not going to tell all that, but she's going through a lot right now. So I told her just to catch it when she can. She's going to burn some sage. I said, beautiful, beautiful. You're doing the right thing is what I told her. So I told her reach out if she needs me. Anyway, so Ethan was saying before I stopped the video and came to do practicing peace, where are my notes? That the fast movers are in Virgo and focus on creating structure, which is what we're doing. We're getting in the daily habit, like doing my devotions every morning is very important for me. And obviously it's helping others. So I really, really awesome. Yes, I learned a whole lot too. I had to seek within. I 3 times I went. I didn't want to go again. So if nothing changed, then nothing was going to change. So everything had to change. And I dug and I dug and I studied and I studied. And I had people come into me, and it was very, very important. Very important. I learned a whole lot about me and other people. Because when you're in prison, you're in a fishbowl of every different ethnicity. Well, not every different. There's mostly blacks and whites and Hispanics. The Hispanics are few because they have to racially balance you. It's a lot trickier than that. So I'm looking into my Skyview Light app, which I don't pay for it. There's one that always asks me if I want to upgrade and pay, and I say no, thank you. And I'm looking, absolutely. It was our own doing, but it was our will to be there. One of my best friends from school is in there right now, and he has 9 years to do. He's still got several. He's a brother. He's totally my brother. And he's devout. I'm trying to find the planets right now. Mercury's moving out of Virgo. And Venus is right behind it. These are the fast movers, the inner planets. The sun is still about midway through Virgo. And Mars is behind. So Mercury's going to be moving into Libra. And Venus is moving into Libra. And the sun will be moving into Libra. Mars will probably still be back in Virgo. But those 3 will be together in Libra, balance and justice, as it is. But my friend, my best brother, he's been my brother. We went to school together, everything. And something told me to reach out to him in this time and listen to his side of this story. Because his brother told me that when he calls, he's like, listen, bub, what I need you to go do is go get your Bible. And his brother, I see him at the gas station buying Fireball. So he's still doing the same old thing. You know, he's not trying to go get his Bible right now at all. And he doesn't want to hear this. So my friend and I are on like the same page. And he feels really alone in there. And I said, I felt the same way. I said, but you cannot go back to what you were doing. Your friends out here didn't change. I said, you have to be very aware of that. I said, or you will fall. And he's like, yes, I know. He said, I've still got a long while to go and blah, blah, blah. So he talks to me and calls, and I send him letters and stuff like that. But he said to me, he said, "Do you know why I'm here?" And I said, because God was saving you from yourself, because it was drug addiction and stuff. That either way, there was drug addiction behind the events that transpired to land in there for 9 years. And either party, it doesn't matter. The two that were involved, either party, it was drugs and the behavior. Absolutely. Find a different playground. Absolutely. You have to change your playmates, your play places, and your playthings. All of it. You have to change. So I said, that's why you're there. And he goes, "No, I'm here because they needed me here." He said, "The preachers come on the weekends. I'm here 24/7. And I said, that is a beautiful way to look at it. That is, he's changed his whole perspective. I just got chills. He changed his whole perspective, and he's using it for the greater good of not just self, but of everyone else. So it's very, very beautiful that he can look at it and not just be miserable and not just be mad and not be feeling horrible the whole time he's in there. It's going to be a long time still. And so he's got a couple of children that I babysat and grew up around. And so now I'm reaching out to his kids who are having, I just got chills again, who are having struggles at home and stuff. And so I'm really reaching out to them because I love those girls. So I'm reaching out to them and helping him in ways that, you're locked up. You have little control over you have no control over anything in general. But when you're locked up, you have no control over the outside stuff at all. And I really went through a lot in there, and I had to reach through the spirit when stuff was going on with my daughter, being hospitalized, having psychotic breakdowns, and I was locked up. I was punching walls, and I would have to go talk with God about my attitude frequently. They would say, "Do you need to go talk to the crisis worker?" And I was like, "No, I need to go talk with God right now. I need to go pray. I need to go find my prayer warrior. I don't need to talk to anybody else right now. I just punched the wall. I'm very angry. So I'll have to get myself there." So let's do this little poem I was going to read. I don't want to do a whole video on it. But since we're all here, I am me. This is from one of my classes in prison, like the Lost Generation one I did. This is what the Jehovah's Witnesses gave me yesterday. Is life worth living? And it's full of scripture. I haven't really looked at it. I kind of flipped through it while they were here. I was kind to them, but I'm me. I don't look like them. And so it's kind of hard. It's mind-blowing. I blow their minds, all of them. I am me. In all the world, there is no one else exactly like me. There are persons who have some parts like me, but no one adds up exactly like me. Therefore, everything that comes out of me is authentically mine because I alone choose it. This is in my Seeking Safety class, and how it's okay to be us. I own everything about me. My body, including everything it does. My mind, including all of its thoughts and ideas. My eyes, including the images of all they behold. My feelings, whatever they may be. Anger, joy, frustration, love, disappointment, excitement. My mouth and all the words that come out of it. Polite, sweet, or rough. Correct or incorrect. My voice, loud or soft, and all my actions, whether they be to others or to myself. I own my fantasies, my dreams, my hopes, my fears. I own all my triumphs and successes, all my failures and mistakes. Because yes, they are. Yes, absolutely they are. They are nice. They just really sit there and listen. I think I've blown their mind. I can tell when I've blown their mind because they're just like, whoa. Because I own all of me, I can become intimately acquainted with me. So, by so doing, I can love me and be friendly with me in all my parts. I can then make it possible for all of me to work in my best interest. I know there are aspects about myself that puzzle me and other aspects that I do not know. But as long as I'm friendly and loving to myself, I can courageously and hopefully look for the solutions to the puzzles and for ways to find out more about me. However I look and sound, whatever I say and do, and whatever I think and feel at a given moment in time is me. This is authentic and represents where I am at that moment in time. When I review later how I looked and sounded, what I did and said, and how I thought and felt, some parts may turn out to be unfitting. I can discard that which is unfitting and keep that is which proved fitting, and invent something new for that which I discarded. I can see, hear, feel, think, say, and do. I have the tools to survive, to be close to others, to be productive, and to make sense and order out of the world of people and things outside of me. I own me, and therefore I engineer me. I am me, and I am okay. And the girl Whitney that used to come in and do the seeking safety classes, or sex abuse survivors, for all of that stuff, she would always print us off all this beautiful stuff. Coping skills, I lost lots of it in the fire. I lost what I didn't lose to the fire that wasn't damaged by smoke. Floods came when we didn't get this stuff out fast enough in negative 14-degree weather in January. We didn't have a team to go down there, and the flood came and ruined everything left in the basement, which is where most of my stuff was. So I'm glad I got out what I did. Pictures and things like that are irreplaceable. That's what I focused on. So we're going to end this real quick here because I am trying to save my voice to go with. We're doing the stage of time. I'm super excited about it. And it will be titled The Stage of Time. Begin with the end in mind. Because I am self-aware, because I have imagination and conscious, I can examine my deepest values. I can realize that the script I'm living is not in harmony with those values, that my life is not the product of my own proactive design, but the result of the first creation I have deferred to circumstances and other people. And you can see where I underlined, and I can change. I can live out of my imagination instead of my memory. I can tie myself to my limitless potential instead of my limiting past. I can be my own first creator, be principle-centered, unlike other centers based on people or things which are subject to frequent and immediate change. Correct principles do not change. We can depend on them. So that's beautiful. I got so much. I wasn't even diagnosed with PTSD until later. It was depression. It was other stuff, and even borderline personality came later. But I wasn't diagnosed with PTSD, and it wasn't a part of my childhood thing because that was just a normal thing that everybody did. It wasn't a diagnosis there at all. It always said bipolar 2 with extreme mania. Like when I'm super excited and talking too much, that guy in Nevada thinks that I'm being manic. And I said, I'm not, I'm just happy. I'm happy when I'm talking to you again. And then I have so much to say because you never listen to me. And then I got blocked and number changed. And I'm not going to apologize for who I am. That you're detached and not know what's going on in the world, which is probably why he would tune into my channels, because he wants to know what I know. Because our missions are not the same. So I make him aware of much of the things that's going on. But I think a lot of it's trauma. I think much of our stuff is trauma. I think my memory loss and stuff like that in moments of anxiety, in moments of fear, in those moments like that, I think it all stems back to trauma. I don't even know how I feel about a bipolar disorder anymore. I don't feel like people need the medication. I don't think the mood stabilizers, like they've had me on one for seizures. And so when I go to the dentist, they're like, "Oh, you have seizures?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have, I've never had a seizure in my life." And they're like, "Oh, well, you take it." And I was like, "Well, they claim that these things help with your brain." Yes, I think we all do. So I'm still going to have to. I just thought about that because it's written down here about CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Healing from narcissistic abuse. There's that label narcissist. I like to use that they're just unhealed. They know not what they're doing. They have no clue. And how crying is releasing and healing. Because my kid doesn't cry. My kid is full of rage. My kid's got serious shoulder issues. And my kid suffers with a lot of that stuff because I think it's stored energy. I think a lot of it is stored. I think a lot of our dis-ease and a lot of our pains like that is stored. And I felt so much better after I let it out the other night. I just cried. I cried in my room. I'll go outside and I'll just get away from everybody where I can feel okay to cry. That's one of the last things I said. Is it okay for me to feel yet? Before the number got changed and everything. I said, and can I just heal? Can you just leave me alone and let me heal from the fire? Like, since leaving, he has not been through any of the traumatic stuff that I've been through. And yes, his karma is coming. Yes, it's narcissistic abuse, healing from narcissistic abuse. Look it up, Google it. Look up complex PTSD because it is long-term programming, mind trickery from mostly our parents. And then we seek people like them in the future. It just happens. I've studied Freud, I've studied Jung, I've studied all of these psychologists and how women seek men who remind them of their father. Men seek women who remind them of their mother, or they go to the opposite extreme and go the other way. Absolutely crazy how we do it. I swore I'd never be like my parents, and I turned out like, and now I tell people I'm a female Tony with a Betty attitude. I said, and the world can't handle that. So I have to learn how to tame that down because nobody can handle somebody that parties. I could drink any man under the table. I could do more drugs than any of them. I could just do and do and do and do. And look at me standing still. There's no other reason than to be what I'm doing today, that I survived everything I did. Absolutely no reason. And so it's all mine. They're controlled too. We have to remember that. We have to remember that they had no clue what they're doing. My dad doesn't know how to be a better dad because of who his dad was. And his dad wasn't even around. So I don't even know who he was raised. My great-grandfather killed himself when my grandpa was only like 12. And I do believe that my grandfather found him. So, it's passed on. It's passed on. And then my grandpa killed himself when he was only like 60. I was only 16. It traumatized me. So we are only repeating what we know. How can we do what we don't know how to do? And so we can't be mad at them for not doing. Did I used to point fingers? Did I used to say, I wouldn't be this way, and I wouldn't be a drug addict, and I wouldn't be alcoholic if blah, 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 blah. Now I took responsibility for my own actions. Did that stuff shape who we are? Absolutely. Absolutely, it shaped who we are. But we can change that. We can fix that. I can change. When we realize that it's no longer working for us and no longer benefiting us, we can absolutely change any of that stuff. And then you just lead by positive example. Like my parents are finally starting to see. I quit telling them what to do. What you need to do is go grab your Bible. And what you need to do is go do this. No, I'm just showing them. and they see it. And so my mom just made her second batch of CBD oil, and it's helped her friends with her back pain so much. She just ran some out there, and she's actually making a little bit of, she can, I told her, Mom, you too are a healer. I said, you have more Native American blood in you because you're my mom from her dad. I said, we're healers. The Iroquois, the real thick Iroquois, comes right from her father. So she just ran some more out there. And I said, and look at this. I said, and we can do this. And it's fun doing this. And it's helping heal people. And it's miraculous. It's beautiful. So we can work on it together. And so she's learning. We're all learning together. And they too absolutely are controlled. So when they hurt us, they weren't meaning to. My dad used to get beat with a belt badly, which is why we passed it on, right? And so my mother's siblings, my mom was a very good child, and she didn't want to have to do what they were doing. She was third in line, and then there was her two little sisters. There's five of them. So she was third. Oh, and my dad was the middle. Wow, how interesting. I guess I never realized that. But they used to have to go get a switch off the tree and decide which one they were going to be whipped with. And so my mom was like, I didn't want any part of that. So she always did everything she was told. And they would have to pick whether a thin switch was going to hurt worse. And my mom's mom was an alcoholic. He quit drinking a long time ago, before I was born, or when I was very small. So I never knew him as that. But my mom grew up an alcoholic home with my little tiny British Scottish nanny who was on her nerve pills. Yes, I am teaching. We're healing. I'm leading by positive example. I'm teaching my child how to do things better, how to breathe through her anxiety and not say, I'm going to have a panic attack. I'm going to have a panic attack. No, you're not. No, you're not. Breathe. First of all, breathe. Stop. Breathe. Take your time out. Pause. Take that pause. Patience. And I will end off with this. I'm going to end with this. So my kid told me about Theodore Daniel down the road. If you missed that this morning, it was right at the end of our readings. My kid walked in with a study, the spiritual deliverance guide that's just nothing but scripture that he's laminated and he pays for and passes out. His name's Theodore Daniel. And he didn't even know that that was my kid. And he called her up there, prayed for her. She said her whole head and everything just turned hot while he was laying hands on her. And he was in his 18th day of fasting. He's a very powerful being, but he's not doing loving. When he told her that he had a YouTube channel, she said, yeah, so does my mom. And he said, oh, I might know her. And he hasn't even connected that that's my child yet. And I had to tell him our whole side of the story because he was talking about homosexuals and all that. And I said, until you can understand our side of the story, you need to quit with all of that. I said, because you have no clue. And so he would listen, but then he would tell me that doing my oracle cards was inviting in demons and it was satanic and stuff like that. So I blocked him. I blocked him from my phone. I have a new number now and I haven't gone down there. But I'm also teaching him that his way is not the only way, that there was much going on, that all of these different teachers have. Are the prophets giving good warnings? Did they? Absolutely. But is their perception the absolute only way? Absolutely not. We just learned a lot more about peace than the sentences that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote. You know, she broke it down, and that's what I was searching for. Meditation, peace. I searched for people who broke down more what just the word says. And I found it in every teacher and every single, you know what I mean? It's unbelievable. So I'm teaching my child how, now that I'm able, if I could be a mother now and have a little baby and teach that baby, it would be so amazing how much better I would do at this age of 39 than when I was 17 and 18. I had my child when I was 18 years old. I was pregnant at 17. So I was sick, especially dealing with her father and every man after that. Like I was not, but now here I am. And so I've even said now that I have inserts in my fallopian tubes that have been recalled by Bayer, blacklisted, and taken off the market. I want them out of me. I want them out. And they're saying, oh, the cause for all this heavy bleeding and all of this other stuff isn't those. We want to run tests and we want to do this. Well, I didn't even know that when I went to get the sonogram of the insides of me done, that it was going to trigger things that happened to me a long time ago, and I haven't been back to them since because they're denying that that could be the cause. I said, either way, I want these out of me. And if my insurance, I found a doctor that can take them out in Texas. I found all of this stuff, but they need, I have a lawyer that was waiting and it showed up. I never even knew that they had been recalled. It showed up on my messenger, which I don't have anymore. Essure lawsuits. And I looked at it and I was like, I have Essure lawsuits. What the heck? Unbelievable. So they're trying. Of course, it was traumatic. I haven't been back. When they put that big old sonogram thing up in me, it hurt. It triggered. It was awful. I won't go back, and I won't go back alone. I wanted somebody holding my hand through the process. And so I want them out. I'm in a better place in my life, and I'm not too old yet. But time will be ticking, and things will be going on. But I have a lawyer, and they won't even. They said what we need is a referral, a recommendation. Have it removed. So I may have to go see. Correct? Because I went and saw a man. And I shouldn't be doing that either. I don't even have, because I got kicked out of my old doctors because I got caught selling 14 tramadol. So the doctor in the hospital that I went to all my life since my child was born, since before that, and my child's 21 now, I lost every doctor. They kicked me out of the whole entire hospital for selling 14 tramadol. And I had to go to a whole new place, find all new everybody. They still haven't sent my records over, and I'm trying to go through legal stuff. I want these out of me. It's my body, and if they've been black box listed, but I said, I've already got a lawyer. So the doctors, of course, are trying to find another excuse and another reason and say, no, well, we want to run blood tests and we want to do this. And, oh, this looks normal. And I said, this is my body. I know my body. I have foreign objects, nickel, titanium, steel implants, not steel, nickel, titanium implants in my fallopian tubes that hadn't even been used for very long before you started putting them in women. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Bleeding Edge. And some of these women have these intense headaches and all of this heavy bleeding. They've had all of this stuff going on. And if I want them out, it's my body. Shouldn't I have a right to get them out of me without having to go through all of this? Oh, yes, I know. That's why I avoid them. And I seek the medicine women and men. And I still haven't known how to approach this just yet. My guy would handle this for me. He would say, listen, this is what's, he's the one who went off on, he taught me a lot about power, but it was not going on. And so I told him, you don't know what trauma I went through after the fire. I tried to go get this Essure thing looked at. Then on top of that came all of this suppressed trauma that I had been through with men. And I didn't want anybody to touch me. I don't want nothing. I just was like, I'm not seeing anybody. I want nothing to do with any of this anymore. And I quit going. So it wasn't until I had something stuck in the bottom of my foot from walking around barefooted and earthing that I went to the doctor and I had to have a splinter removed. And I said, listen, I don't want any anesthesia. I don't want you shooting anything into me. Just get it out of there. I said, wipe some of your numbing stuff or whatever. I said, I'm very against. I said, I'm only here because something is stuck in my foot and I've tried to dig it out myself. If not, I avoid you guys like the plague. I don't want your measles shots. I don't want nothing from you. And so they're like, okay. I said, I went through, and so I have to give him a breakdown of you're traumatizing me. And if you're not helping me and you're traumatizing me, then that's a fucking problem. I said, this is why I avoid you guys. So I really need to look into this a sure thing and maybe see how I have to go about it, because I want them out of me. I want them out of me. They shouldn't have been there. When I got them, I was a heroin addict and I was shooting up heroin, and I didn't even have my daughter. I made a very good decision, because I don't know how many children I would have had later with men that were not healthy whatsoever. It was the right decision at that time. But if I think I have the right to say that I want these things out of me now. It's mine. And if they're causing me harm and suffering and unbelievable bleeding, it's heavy. Ultra super is not enough. And so that's absolute. Thank you, because I am ready. I'm going to look into that. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it up here now and see who I need to talk to about this, because this is something serious, So I'm going to go for now, but the next time I come back is going to be for the stages of time. So I'm going to go look into this and do some little research for my own self, because I've got all kinds of health things still that I deal with too. And I have to see my medicine woman advice for that kind of stuff. I do need to give her my new number too. So you guys have a blessed and beautiful time away. Do some yoga, stretching for your shoulder. It's funny that you're on your left side and so am I. So maybe you're getting some empathy pains over there, and my apologies. Thank you so much for bearing the pain with me, bearing part of the load. So do some yoga stretches. Find something, whatever you want to do. I love you all so much. I send you abundant love and healing light from my home to yours in Illinois. So we'll talk to you guys later. Have a blessed and beautiful day.